All right, everyone, we are going to go ahead and get started here. So good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today on Vicom's webinar titled Keep Your Remote Users Safe, Secure, and Productive with Cisco Umbrella. We believe it's an important title, especially with what's been happening in the world, and it's what we're going to be focusing upon today. And please note, everybody, we will be recording this webinar. So everyone, my name is Andy Jonak, and I'm Vicom's Director of Marketing, and I will be hosting the webinar today. So Vicom is a full-service multi-cloud infrastructure provider with a 3-decade history of helping our customers drive business innovation through advanced IT solutions, services, and support offerings. And that very much includes solutions to help organizations with their remote workers, their work-from-home needs, and not only providing the tools necessary to keep those remote users productive, but in helping the organization and users remain safe and secure as well. So let me introduce our featured speaker today. I'd like to introduce John Childs, who's a principal security architect at Vicom, who focuses on our security portfolio. And we hope that you find the webinar and the information presented today to be intriguing and, most importantly, useful, as what we're discussing today is something we see as so important to the firms we are talking to right now: how to keep remote users productive, safe, and secure. So before we get going, let me just go through some of the logistics for the webinar today. So the webinar is 1 hour total. And as I mentioned, we will be recording the session. Our presentations will take approximately about 30 minutes, 30 to 35 minutes or so. And we do leave some time at the end of the presentation specifically for questions. But if you do have questions during the webinar, we'll stop a few times throughout to give people the opportunity to ask those questions, or you can feed them up through the chat window if you'd like as well. So all attendees will be muted throughout the presentation, but we will unmute for when we stop for questions and at the Q&A section at the end. So with that said, thank you again for joining us today, and let's go ahead and get going. So IT environments today are increasingly complex. We all know it, we all live and breathe it every day, especially in what we've all chosen to do for a living. We have these complex multi-cloud environments, and given what's happening in the world today, we have so many people that need to connect to company resources and services via phones, tablets, notebooks, and all types of other remote devices and ways to connect. We all know there's a tremendous increase in people needing to work from home, but because of that, firms need to ensure that they have the work from home tools to keep people productive and to keep business running. But they also need to have the tools to keep them safe and secure when they are working remotely, while ensuring that corporate assets and data are protected. And this is where Vicom and Cisco Umbrella can help. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So now what I'd like to do is I would like to turn it over to John Childs, who, as I mentioned, is a principal security architect at Vicom, focuses upon our security portfolio and security solutions. So John, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to you.
Thank you, Andy. Good morning, everyone. As he said, oh, there we go. I got the ball.
John, just let me mute myself 1 sec, okay?
No problem. Oh.
Give me 1 sec.
I know a little ahead of myself. Get back. Okay. Yeah. So we're looking at remote security solutions, and Cisco Umbrella, the first line of defense. Let me get queued up here. It's really from threats from the internet, and we all understand that as we send our devices and are connected and our connections expand beyond our traditional enterprise footprint, right, from home. We know that these devices can be used for other things, and we generally in the security industry have considered the internet a hostile place. So we made significant investments in firewalls and things to keep these threats out. But now that we're letting the work and the users go out, we create a risk as well as a challenge for how we secure that. Because we do have so many different types of devices that are connected anywhere at all times. There we go. One of the easiest ways is to go after DNS. And what DNS is domain name system, right? It's that every address, every website has a long string of numbers, an IP number. Well, we translate that to a word or a letter system so humans can interact with it better, right? By taking advantage of this network protocol, we're able to harden any device anywhere, taking advantage of different ports, whereas like some of your security or some of your web-based security only looks at 40 80 and 443 HTTP, HTTPS, we're able to look at all ports, right? We're port agnostic. So Umbrella being built into the foundation of the internet, OpenDNS was acquired by Cisco, and this domain name service is one of the fastest and largest. I think they go back and forth with Google, so it may not be right now. But getting in that network layer and having a really simple system of, is this domain safe? Is this domain bad or blocked? Or is it unknown or risky? Should I find it? That tertiary system, as well as being a foundational service, doesn't really give you any care and feeding, right? You don't have to you don't have to implement it. You can just simply redirect your domain name service and start being protected, right? So, and also, since all devices use it, it doesn't matter whether you're using a Chromebook or an iOS device, on-prem, network router, your home router, or even the individual devices, whether they're company owned or not, can all take advantage of it. That's really a scalable, consistent outcome, right? And that's what this is about. Like, you want to be able to take and ensure that your remote users are computing in the same manners with the same protections, or at least you have mitigated the risks from them working at home and not on, without getting involved in having to manage or have multiple device on ramps. Taking advantage of, see that, I really love how they have that number 208-67-2222, right? That's OpenDNS. Like, we can translate that out. I really think because of it being this foundational service, you can integrate into other, it's implemented into other technologies as well. Or take threats from other technologies because they have an IP, which they have a domain, right? You're able to get that scalable, consistent outcome in the network layer without the care and feeding or overhead or stand-up issues of like a full web proxy, or the same similar protections that you would from your firewall. So really, that's where Umbrella fits. It's this first line of defense. It happens before a connection is made, right? Before that port and protocol is decided, when it says, here's the address you're going to get, or should a machine be compromised and it's doing a call out, right? You're able to get in the middle of that connection and stop the payload from being downloaded, right? So that gives you the flexibility to not have to be in the OS layer or care about the device, or necessarily have to have some sort of mechanism in place to actually filter and inspect all your traffic. And it becomes increasingly important as SSL traffic grows. Now we're able to inspect the traffic as it comes out of the device, right? Because the client can do SSL inspection, or so we're able to get the same protection at your on-prem, off-prem, at home, or even on your mobile device or roaming clients. I'm sorry, a little slide delay. So Cisco Talos Group. Cisco sees more internet traffic than anybody, right? That's what this is about. And because domain DNS service is universally used, Cisco is able to get a better picture of what threats are doing and where it's going, and run models on it. So there's two kind of inspections here, or protections here, that we've been talking about. URL inspection, right? These asymmetrical parts of the internet that are randomly generated long keychains that don't stay open for very long. We're able to see when those rise and grow, right? And then work a protection for it if the domain's never been seen. It's a really simple idea, right? It's almost like authenticating the connection if it's a valid service or not. If your authentication-based protections tend to be very effective, they might be a little coarse, but when you layer it in with being able to do some signature detection, right? So from different engines, like, I know this file is bad, or this link and this attachment inside goes to a bad domain name. Why am I letting it go through? And that that can be really powerful. Take, for instance, if you're on your phone and you have a menu from a restaurant. If that menu had something like WannaCry embedded in it, which is a very popular way of infection, you could now protect your mobile device, which could get plugged into your computer or sync, right? So it's giving you that layer that you may not have had. So again, it's a preventative protection in the network layer that's easy and scalable to stand up because of the cloud hosted architecture and its foundings with a DNS service being part of the internet. So targeting web-based phishing attempts, phishing attempts like Spotify versus Spotify, or even command and control, right? This is the ransomware style. I get on the machine, I send a call back to get a key, an encryption key. I'm able to, should I have a bad day, right? The bad guys spend all this time making the malware stealthy to get it on, but they don't necessarily hide their back end because their goal is to get it, to get on the systems. Well, if I can never get the key, I can never hit my payload and obfuscate your data and complete my attack, right? So it gives you that protection on-prem and off-prem on all ports. So it'll allow you to, effectively stop data exfiltration as well. Because again, we're able to see all these ports and services, and we can get into, let me focus on this. So just in summary, we know that polymorphic malware, right, how they obfuscate and make it stealthy can change. As they change, we're able to identify the file, and if possible, or stop the callback traffic. So again, antecedent of the connection, right? Before it connects out on any device. I think that's really advantageous for the remote user climate that we're seeing. And again, all devices. It works on-prem or off-prem in the same exact way. If the domain is risky or bad, or if it's risky or unknown, I'm going to send it through for additional analysis back to Talos, right? And eventually that traffic will get met up. Or it's bad and I block, or it's good and I let it through, right? No latency, right? Pass fail before the connection. So the user experience is very minimal, but the security advantages and protections can be pretty rich. Excuse me. So this allows us to quickly spot and remediate issues in our environment. I'm able to see that here's a blocked command and control server. I know that this, even if my, security operations practice isn't that mature and all I can do is go get the machine and reimage it or quarantine it and wait for it to be reset, right? Even if it has to be done by the end user in a less than ideal conditions that we may be facing, you're able to see that they are infected and you are in fact stopping it without having to take additional action. So scalable, consistent outcomes in your security operations, right? Doing more in less time is right out of the box feature that I really appreciate. Well, the extent of an exposure, so you can see how traffic, especially even if it's blocked traffic or would be or versus allowed traffic, you're able to see here's the amount of let's say Google Drive connections, which I'm a OneDrive customer, and that creates a whole nother challenge because I may not have the mechanisms in place to enforce my data protection policies, but Umbrella gives us a source for that as well. I can fingerprint these because I am port agnostic and I can see the applications. So while it might not be as effective as securing the API, I'm at least able to do something to mitigate my risk from all my new devices or my remote users by saying, okay, I'm only going to allow OneDrive or limited non-sanctioned IT because of this emergency situation. So I really value this because this is all again done at the DNS layer. So there is no inspection, right? Like there is none of the usual encumbrances or challenges you would get with like a full layer 7, inspection product. And again, those don't necessarily work off-prem the same way we're specifically support Chromebooks, and iOS devices because it does it through a browser extension. So you don't have to fully manage the device, right? And this again, with the cloud hosted back architecture, it's stand up in minutes. You forward your DNS from your gateway, or you push a client which has the redirect up. It's that same protection no matter where the action's being taken place, at your gateway, at your device client, right? It really makes it simple for troubleshooting or understanding. It's not different anywhere. And again, like scalable, consistent outcomes and being able to deploy immediately, or integrating with like the AnyConnect client, it's just run an extension or run a it doesn't even require an additional install. It's running a script to modify the client to just forward that DNS traffic when you're stood down, because you can let it go through and back through your gateway on-prem, right? So you may not be getting east-west connection traffic. That may be a little bit of an encumbrance or a challenge right now, but at least you're getting some inspection when they're not routed back through to your gateway, and they're behind your firewall, right? That's really what I think the value is. And getting that feature parity, because there is some content inspection or content filtering you can do. You can take very typical of your Cisco products, right? They give you some default categories. It may be a little more coarse because it's only domain. But again, something is better than nothing, especially when you're been forced to maybe do a hasty remote user or cloud migration, right?
Hey, John.
Yep.
John, it's Andy here. Hey, I just figured you've unpacked a lot. I figured I would just take a quick second and open it up for everybody to see if they'd like to ask any questions of you. So just give them 1 second and let's see if anybody has any questions. I think it's a good natural point to ask that.
Absolutely.
Okay. Anybody? Okay. Nope. Okay. Well, we'll have Q&A at the end. So, John, please proceed.
No problem. So this is what I kind of alluded to a few minutes ago, is the integration. Because I can take IOCs from my FireEye inspection product, it's not just the Cisco family. I can ingest them and go, here are the bad domains. Blah, right? They're API driven, so there's no scripts or dump servers, so they can be done pretty quickly, right? I really value this about Umbrella. It's a scalable, consistent outcome for your enterprise and beyond, right? And it partners well with the CASB and additional if you want to get into that API hardening. Having things external facing the internet that you don't own gets difficult to harden and protect. Umbrella gives you the other side of that coin. At least you have some visibility and can get in there, because it's hard to secure, report, or remediate things you can't see, right? So it really is kind of the foundation, and can be for your off network devices, or even your SD-WAN. If you're a smaller company that's kind of cloud first and is a large, decentralized user base, small pockets, the Meraki integration, you can apply multiple policies within minutes. It's a fairly simple. And then as you upgrade your Meraki devices, it's just as easy to change policies. It gives you a foundation, right, for you to build upon as Umbrella has matured from its just roots of being a DNS service that Cisco acquired and keeps adding on. They call it Secure Internet Gateway. We're not going to go into all the features of it. I just really like how you can get some cloud delivered firewalls, some web proxy, web filtering, content inspection, besides the base DNS layer protections, and a little bit of app discovery, web protection, right? It may be more like a Swiss Army knife for you, where you may need to have more protections on your more sensitive users. But at least getting something out there now across everything means you're mitigating your risks from having a bad day from something you can't see, and you're now having to encouraged to operate in your environment because of the times, right? I just wanted to kind of review how it was marketed or packaged with you guys. It's changed recently. They have these new offerings and essentials and advantages. And the key difference between them is it's all about being able to do the AMP inspection, right? You can get that DNS layer, that base layer, and then adding on the additional investigate for domains. There's a lot of add-ons and whistles, but I wanted to stress enough that ensuring that you got essentials, you get out of the box that DNS layer anywhere, that cloud architecture, that back end that you can get, it's all the same. I really champion the Cisco enhanced support, as opposed to basic, just in case. And those are, default now in the new SKUs. So it's really easy to purchase. It's a per user license, and If you have any other Cisco products, it is totally eligible that you can save yourself some money, as well as any of the free trials and stuff that we have from Cisco to try to help alleviate the stress that we're all going through, moving our workforces, off enterprise network. Sorry, I went past it, but yeah, is there any questions? I know I kind of went through it. I tried to keep it short, or tried to keep it not about the technical, or not too deep in the technical way, but I really feel like Umbrella gives you something that you can use that works the same everywhere, and that in the security world is very refreshing, because there's always, well, this is how it works, except for this really helps you not have to deal with that in your mind, as in your day-to-day security operation.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and unmute everybody and see if there's any questions. And thank you, John. Excellent presentation, excellent information. And I'm going to take the ball back. Okay. All right, anybody have any questions? Okay, and we're going to check the chat window, as I believe a couple people have some questions. We'll address those at the Q&A session. So what I'd like to do now is, I'm going to go ahead and mute you, John. So excellent. So everyone, I want to take a quick minute and just tell you who we are. So to give you a little bit of that just for a quick second, the organization that we are part of is Vicom Computer Services. And Vicom is a full service multi-cloud infrastructure provider with a 3-decade history of helping our customers really drive business innovation through advanced IT solutions, services, and support offerings. And our domains of expertise include IT infrastructure, multi-cloud solutions, networking, operations and service management, both enterprise, network, and endpoint security, important to what we're talking about today, staff augmentation, and professional and managed services. And our solutions and offerings really can help organizations wherever they sit in regards to the maturity level of their IT environment, their solutions, and their overall needs. So that's just a quick little bit to let everybody know about what we bring to the table and what Vicom is all about. So now what I'm going to do is 2 things. I'm going to open it up for questions again and unmute John. And I do have a few questions that were fed up through the chat window. But first, I want to see if anybody would like to verbally ask some questions. So does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask? Okay. Well, John, we have a few that were sent up through the chat window to me directly. So I'm going to feed them to you. And please, let's address these. The first one, pretty straightforward. You kind of showed the chart of the different types of offerings, but the question is, how much does it cost and how is it licensed?
So it's really simple to figure out and keep your license count. It's the number of users you have. I mean, that can mean a lot of different things, especially in the SLED space. So think about it as the number of active mailboxes that you take care of, right? So, and then you get 5 devices per user, there's more, but like that's the general rule of thumb. So typically you won't exceed that, but it's very simple. And then do you want the premium, or the essentials package with enhanced support in both of them?
Okay. Let's see. Somebody else asked if they don't want to run agents. Is this an agentless solution?
So the agents, yeah. So for roaming clients, you have to have an agent, right? There's just no way around that. But on-prem, you can configure it at your router or your firewall, whatever's handling that DNS service connection. If it's Windows, they have a virtual appliance. It's even got an Azure connector. So if you're a cloud first, you can spin it up there and it forwards that DNS and tags it to your domain. So your cloud tenant can then report on it. So it really works anywhere. It's whether or not, like on your home router, you could configure to point to open DNS and you just couldn't get that reporting because it's not adding your unique domain traffic or your cloud tenant so you can see it. It really does. It works the same way. It's a DNS level, and that's what makes it scalable.
Okay, nice. One other one. It says your invite, when we sent out the invitations, your invite says it installs in under an hour. Is that true? And is the installation intrusive to my environment?
It's absolutely true. And here at Vicom, we actually have a partner. They call it a POV, proof of value. We can do one of these for anybody that would like one, but we're able to actually spin that tenant up and give you keys to it. We add your, your external facing IPs, and you're up in 10 minutes. Like, it just literally takes as long as to configure, what your, DNS settings are. Now, to get some of the more advanced features and those protections, there is a little bit more stand up, but I've put it in, we all see the schools in the papers. I've worked with a few, and we're able to put it up within 20 minutes and use it as a stopgap to stop the, to stop the bleeding, so to speak, so we can repair their environment and get them to going back up. I really value that about most of the Cisco security solutions that you see out there that are cloud hosted. It just is that easy. There's no having to get a box, right? Any of those. I got to get it racked and stacked and deal with 3 different teams and 2 change managements just to be able to get it, get it online, right? There is none of that. It is really refreshing from that overhead stand up carrot feeding that you usually associate with a network security product.
Okay, good. One other one that somebody just pinged. So they're asking, what if they don't actually manage the devices? Somebody else manages their devices for them. How does this play into that?
So you can, Umbrella is very aware, like Cisco is very aware of that. So you can have multiple instances managed in one tenant. And there is some, with iOS and Chromebooks, it's a little more difficult to negotiate the management piece or the semi-management for that browser extension. But with Windows and Mac devices, you can have them install off a URL or give them a package to push off a file share. It's a very lightweight 4 meg package, so you could even email it if you had to, and once that happens, it does the redirect service and you're up and going. The redirect. Yeah.
Excellent. Does anybody else have any questions? If so, feed them up to the chat right now, or I've unmuted everybody for a quick second. Okay. Okay, it sounds like we're good. So thank you, John. Appreciate it. So, everyone, thank you for taking the time to attend our webinar today. And we really hope that you found the information useful and, most importantly, relevant to your organization and what you're doing today, especially with everyone needing to work from home at this time. If you're interested in hearing more about Cisco Umbrella or anything else that Vicom does, please feel free to reach out to me or to your Vicom account manager if you're currently working with someone. My contact info is on the slide here, and I'll leave it up for the next few minutes. And we want to thank you again for joining us today, and thank you for considering Vicom. So have a great day, everyone, and please stay safe during these times. Thank you again.